Okay, so this video is for Amendment 73. I say vote yes for the funding for public schools, but I'm sick and tired of defending these totalitarian, pyramidal, no democracy, no freedom, abusive, oppressive institutions. I'm valedictorian of one of these schools. I'm college educated. I went to teacher training school. I've seen behind the curtain, and I've seen that Oz is just a skinny little old man ordering everybody what to do when he don't even know what the hell is going on. So I'd much rather my kids grow up to be strong in mind, body, and spirit, and not to be told to shut up and sit down, which is the Prussian industrial education that is American education. American public education is dog shit. It is dog shit. So I think this is going to be the last time I support public schools until they absolutely change who they are. Now, the reasons why I'll support Amendment 73, I agree with universal education. I agree with universal health care. I agree with helping the poor folks out. And so the funding for the public schools, well, it's a small change. It gets each student now in Colorado, they get $6,769 assigned to them, the school district. If you have a poor kid that goes into your school, so you have what, Kurt Wilson, and you got Emma Ray Martinez. So when poor kids go into Emma Ray Martinez's school, it's not our school. See, this is the problem I have. You got a bunch of bureaucratic Republicans who take the school system over. They take all those taxes, all those poor people's taxes, all those property taxes, and they're not doing with it as they should. They put it in their pocket, they hire their buddies and their friends, and it's still top-down hierarchy. The teachers, the dictators shut the hell up, and the reason why, not only, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. You're hurting the kids. It's like jail. You're actively hurting them more than you're helping them. Funding right now it's $67.69, and then after Amendment 73. So after Amendment 73, it's going to be $7,300 per student. So $7,300 per student is what the bureaucrats per check, how many kids walk in there. So per kid, per student, this is how much the school district will get. Instead of getting $6,769, they're going to get $7,300 per student. So there's going to be $500 more dollars, $500 extra more dollars per student per year for the district. So if you have 100, right, 500 times 100, $50,000 extra that school district is going to get. So Emma Ray Martinez and Kurt Wilson is going to get $50,000 more money because of Amendment 73. Now, it's also a one-sided institution. It's a behemoth leviathan, right? It's when you go into the bank, and then they're like, well, here's our agreement. It's the landlord when he says, here's our agreement. When it's, it's so one-sided. If you went in there with one demand, hey, I want to be guaranteed that my kid is given a proper education. Kurt Wilson couldn't do that. Kurt Wilson is the boss. He's the oppressor. And if you went up and you said, I want to guarantee him, look, I've been doing this a long time, okay? I don't have to give it. He'd think he was so smart, too. Oh, I didn't guarantee that he'd get a good education. I'm so smart. Well, if that's your morals and your principles, that's your objective, it would be easy as hell to just give somebody the reassurance. Yes, your kid will get a 5-star education. Don't worry. Don't worry. But if you're just an insecure oppressor, little rat, if you're just a rat, then when somebody says, hey, will you give my kid a good education, he'll pretend that he's always done it, he's always been a good person, and how dare you for asking him? No, fuck you, I want 100 reasons, Kurt Wilson. Give me 100 reasons why you will take my kid. You're going to take my kid for 13, 14 years, and then you're going to be a dick to me about it? Fuck you. Nah, fuck you. You give me 100 fucking reasons. I'm going to go ahead and give my notice of intent right now. I have no intention of allowing the public school education of Colorado to take my kids for any of the reasons. I'm going to homeschool my kids from the beginning all the way to the end. And it's because of these Republican bureaucrat sons of bitches. Like I said, I'm valedictorian of these schools. I know what these motherfuckers want. Shut up, sit down, push you out. They got the jobs. They don't give a shit what happens to you. They don't give a shit if you do well in life. Shut up, sit down. So I was obedient to do your stupid shit. So, you know, they got you to be obedient for that year. They pushed you out the door. So fuck you, you dumb fuck. You didn't, what, you didn't utilize the, you know, school to your best benefits. Also, my number one plank to end in poverty in Conejos County, fire the 2 superintendents, fire the administrators, fire all the oppressors, okay, all the bad, wicked oppressors. Fire them. They are bad people. If you go around hollering at a bunch of, you know, kids and yelling at them and treating them like they're stupid and you think you're clever and smart, fuck you. You're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. I mean, that's what, we're a bunch of dumb fucks? Fuck you, this is America, okay? And that's another reason it pisses me off, because $7,300 per student. You know how much that is? $7,000 per student. So my poor kid, you know, little Billy Masters is going to go into the school system, pay those assholes $7,000 a year, and he's not going to get a fucking thing. They're going to destroy his reputation, yell at him. They don't care if he makes friends. They don't care about just do as you're told, right? They're going to use him as the example to get everybody in. And then even your Corey fucking Highfields, even your biggest fucking douchebags, right? In order to make good grades, you got to be fucking obedient. So that's all my valedictorian thing just proved to me, is that I was the most obedient. So I'm valedictorian, political science, BA. I got my undergraduate degree. And then my master's. I was working on my master's of teaching, but I said, hey, what if you question authority and those bitches flip the fuck out? So it's all big money game. They don't give a shit. They have PowerPoint presentations and pretend like that's just going to fucking help. They're not teaching money. They're not teaching relationships. They're not teaching civics. They're not teaching democracy. Why do you have all the poverty in Conejos County? Because of Kurt Wilson. Kurt Wilson has looked at Conejos County. He's seen that it's got 30% child poverty. Is he going to do a damn thing about it? No, he's not. So let's get back to Kurt Wilson here in a second. So Amendment 73 proposes to amend the Constitution and Colorado statutes to increase the funding from preschool to 12th grade, to raise the state individual income tax rate for taxpayers with taxable income over $150,000, and increase the state corporate income tax rate to provide additional funding for education, for property taxes levied by school districts at the assessment rate at 7% for residential properties, and decrease the assessment rate to 24% for most non-residential properties. So, okay, I mean, that got a little confusing there. Over $150,000, I'm okay with that. Increasing the corporate tax, I'm okay with that. We're increasing residential property taxes and then capping non-residential property so the commercial and industrial people don't have to pay taxes. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, this isn't a yes, yes, yes. It's a yes, but. Because, you know, in general, I support education, but I want the entire, for Conejos County, for the success of the 30% of the poor kids. It's 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10 of all the kids in Conejos County are poor. They've inflated it to 70%. So that's another thing these Republican bureaucrats do. These Republican bureaucrats, they go ahead and they take your taxes, they raise your taxes, they're anti-government, anti-taxes until they're lining their own pockets up with it. They're so anti-government until they become the government, and then they just, again, they're taking poor people's money. There's $7,000, you know, it's about $7,000 now, it's $6,800, and it's going to go up $500. So that's a Sudbury model education. That's a Summerhill education. That's a private school education. That's a Waldorf education. That's a private school education. I mean, my God, people want to compare and contrast. Do you want a real education, or do you want, you know, this bullshit fucking public school education? I would not send my kids. I will not send my kids to public education, especially to any Kurt Wilson. And then there's a monster in South Conejos. As soon as you walk into South Conejos, they got a big, fat, just obese monster. It's just like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? Who do you represent? And they don't represent the citizens. They don't represent the poor kids. They don't represent anybody but themselves. They're fucking right-wing Nazis who have no theory, no ideas, no, philosophy of life. They're just tyrants, just tyrannical sons of bitches. Oh, shut up, sit down, fucking kiss my ass. Oh, I taught them how to read. Did you teach them how to read? No, you didn't. They already knew how to read before they went in there. You taught them some math? No, they already knew math before they went in there. What the fuck have you been teaching them? The only people that actually survived public education are ones that were educated by their parents prior to. And then the people, anyways. So yes for Amendment 73, but I do want to jump up and down on this but, okay? So, but, public education, American public education has got to get better. It's got to have democracy and freedom. They got to teach about finances. They got to teach in terms of good relationships. We need democracy. If the adults aren't practicing democracy, if the adults don't have a democratic virtue, these Republicans, they probably think, well, I'm not supposed to be for democracy. I'm supposed to be for a republic. So therefore, hell with democracies. We're sending our boys, our soldiers all across the world to kill and murder in the name of democracy. And then you're going to sit there and say that we're opposed to democracy? We're selling our system all over the world because of how great our democracy works. But we're not. The whole point, this is a whole other thing, Hornets man, the whole point of the common school movement, the whole reason why America even has public schools to begin with, because that's socialism. All those Republicans, 100 years are freaking out about this shit. Oh my God, we're just going to give free education to the poor, stupid, poor Americans. If we give them an education, then that means, we won't stay on top. How's this? It's going to be a great equalizer. This is socialism. What the fuck are we doing here? The way they got it passed was, we're going to teach these unruly Americans how to operate in a democracy, how to, be in a democracy. So that was the whole point for the common school movement, Hornets men, to teach this burgeoning brand new democracy the whole world is, looking upon, the city upon the hill. We're going to teach the unruly Americans how to live in a democracy, ruled by the people. So how do we, the people, how do we rule? So they had a sense of democracy. They had a sense of civics. And to act like you're apolitical, to choose the side, to be neutral during situations of injustice, you've chosen the side of the oppressor. If the elephant is stepping on the mouse's tail, so the elephant, Kurt Wilson, is stepping on the 28% of the poor kids' tail, and you walk past it and you don't say shit about it, you're a bad person. You've been walking by poverty your entire lives, Conejos County, and you haven't said shit or done shit about it. And it's been 28% child poverty for 28 years for the exact length that the Kurt Wilson has been in there. General poverty for 21% for the last 30 years. So I wonder why it doesn't get worse. But it's probably because the poor folks are dying off just as fast as they're reproducing. But what is child poverty going to be in 10 years if Kurt Wilson and Emma Ray Martinez both have the helm? You fire these two assholes. They are not elected positions. They're appointed by the school board. If the school board has any say-so whatsoever, it is the firing power that they have over Emma Ray Martinez and Kurt Wilson. That's all. So school boards are impotent except for their executives, their chief executives. So, the 28% child poverty has always been here. It's always going to be here as long as Kurt Wilson and Emma Ray Martinez are at the helm. The Republicans do hate the poor. The Republicans hate the poor. This is David Broyles. This is the former HD 62 Republican chairman, the House District 62, Scott Honeycutt versus Donald Valdez. The Republican chairman wrote on Facebook that the Republicans hate the poor. So clearly he got into a conversation with somebody. He's trying to help the poor out, but then he found out, you know what? My entire party hates the poor. This is a Republican saying it. David Broyles, a Republican, the former House District 62 Republican chairman, says Republicans hate the poor. He posted it up on Facebook. Got in trouble for it, so he got fired. So these Republicans are stupid. They would rather fire the messenger instead of actually giving a shit about the poor. And then these assholes are going to say they're Christians too? Oh yeah, such great Christians who don't give a goddamn about the poor. Shut the fuck up. You don't have Kurt Wilson. Okay, so let's talk about Kurt Wilson. So I called Kurt Wilson up. All I had was 3 simple questions for Kurt Wilson. Do you offer civics classes? Yes. Do you have a plan to stop poverty? Yes. Does your school respect democracy? Yes. But see, Kurt Wilson's a bullshitter. I had asked the question to the secretary, and then he had thought of a couple answers, and then when I was talking to him, he wasn't rolling with the punches. And then the biggest problem that I had with Kurt Wilson in my conversation is when I asked Kurt Wilson, if I had a bunch of ideas on how to combat poverty, would you listen? And he said, oh, you could come in, I'll give you a tour, I'll do this, I'll do that. Shut the fuck up, motherfucker. I asked if I had ideas on how to combat poverty, would you listen? So if he's not going to listen to full-grown men who want to stop poverty, he's not going to listen to the kids who are poor themselves. So Kurt Wilson and Emma Ray Martinez are hurting these kids even worse than, you know, just oppressing them and telling them what to do and making them, brainwashing them to insubordination or to be subordinate, right? Because that's going to be a great lesson. Don't be an individual in America. Only the sheep succeed in America. Bullshit. But that's what the school system's doing, turning them all a bunch of sheep when they're poor and they need to get out of their ditch. They're stuck in a ditch, and if the adults around Conejos County aren't going to do shit, then at least allow those kids to get out of their ditch themselves. Here's a shovel, kid. You know, nobody gives a shit about you, but they're not even doing that. They're not even admitting that they're in poverty, that they have a death sentence. They're pretending that they ignore it and don't say shit about it. Meanwhile, exploit the kid, take $7,000 from the state for them, and then inflate the numbers. 70% is what they said free and reduced lunch is. So 30% poverty rate for the children, but the free and reduced rate is 70%. So, which is true there, Kurt Wilson? Is it 70% poverty? Is it the majority of every kid out here is impoverished? Or is it 30%? So they're going to exploit the poor. They're going to go ahead and exaggerate the poverty numbers to raise their income levels, to raise their budgets, to get more money into their paychecks and their wages. Bunch of government bureaucrat assholes. So finally, Republicans, I'm with you, Kurt Wilson. Fuck the government. Fuck the taxes. Fuck the Republican government. Yeah, I agree with you, Kurt Wilson. The government is the problem. Just like Ronnie Reagan told me, the government is the problem. The bureaucrats who take all of our taxes and exploit our poor kids without doing shit about the poverty of those same poor kids. You're the problem. So it would have been easy. Just say yes. Just like, hey, you offer civics? Yeah, I offer civics. You got a plan to stop poverty? Of course I do. I've been doing this for 28 years. Do you respect democracy? Yes. Well, I'm not going to play verbal. There's no verbal gymnastics there, Kurt Wilson. Just a yes or no question. You try to bullshit me? No. Do you have a plan to stop poverty? No. Kurt Wilson does not. Neither does Emma Ray Martinez, nor does Monica De Herrera, nor does the principal or the commissioners or the sheriffs or the coroners or the surveyors. If they did, then it wouldn't be such a crazy-ass question. Even Michael Young was sitting there running away from, when did those poverty numbers come out? 2010? You think what? There's no poverty in Alamosa now there, Michael Young? All of a sudden there's no poverty, huh? And he laughs about building roads. These assholes want roads. We do want roads. We want good schools, good hospitals, and good roads. Of course we want good roads. But the Republicans hate the poor kids. The Republicans hate the poor. They hate everybody that's poor. The adults, the kids, they hate everybody that's poor. Scott Tipton hates the poor. Walker Stapleton hates the poor. David Boyles told us the truth. He's a Republican, and he told us the truth. The Republicans hate the poor. They don't even have a damn plan to stop poverty. So he wants to lie to me about that. You don't have a plan. And he goes, well, we're giving them food, free and reduced lunch. Yeah, but you're the same fucking Republicans that stop food stamps, right? So now you're going to sit there and say, well, good old Donald Trump is giving food to our children, and meanwhile you're against food stamps for their kids or for their parents. So their parents are poor. You think food stamps would help them out? It would help of course it would. Everybody deserves to eat in America. If you're born in America and you starve to death and don't have water, food, clothing, shelter, those should be givens in America. But nope, not when the Republicans are in charge. When the Republicans are in charge, they're going to take your land, they're going to take your water, take your food, take every fucking thing, put it, a price tag on it, and then kick you out of your own damn house and then charge you all this shit and just be like, whoa, it's your fault, you should. Anyways. So my big caveat is, homeschool your kids. And you can homeschool your kids in Colorado. There's a bunch of homeschooling laws. Homeschooling in Colorado has been a 30-year law. It's 2018, so it began in 1988. And parents fought hard for it. They were laughed at. They were threatened. They had to take it to court. They had their phones tapped. So homeschooling was a big movement in Colorado in 1980s, at the end of 1980s. It's been a law for the last 30 years. And I love it. I love it. The parent has a right to educate their kid. Who the fuck is the state to come in and tell me that you're going to educate my kid how you... No, fuck you. Fuck you. My kid will not obey your stupid-ass orders. Fuck you. Nah, he's not going to get in line. He's not going to say, yes, teacher. He's not going to raise his fucking hand to go to the goddamn bathroom. I'm going to raise him how I want to raise him. I'm going to tell him not to injure anybody, and then I'm going to give him freedom. So that way he gets stronger with his independence. He gets a strong mind, body, and spirit. Jean-Jacques Rousseau. I got so many educational theorists. Probably about 20 to 30 more than every other fucking teacher. I probably know more educational theorists than all the teachers and administrators, the bureaucrats. Oh my God, those Republican bureaucrats in the school system. I know more educational theorists than all those assholes combined. Fuck you. You're going to educate my kid? No, I know more than you. I understand what my kid needs better than you, and it's more in my interest to make sure my kid succeeds than it is in your interest. So you're going to take my kid and tell me that, what, piss on my leg and tell me it's raining to take my kid and tell me it's good for me and him? Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm an American. I know what you fucking assholes were like. So instead of the school system is such a great opportunity. It's a center of the community. Everybody comes together. We could be, you know, hey, we're all in this thing together. Or we can allow some people to get control over it, and then they could just, you know, fuck the rest of the people over. So they're blowing an opportunity. They're absolutely blowing an opportunity, taking tax money, taking tax dollars, taking our money, and fucking us, fucking our kids over with our own tax money. So, you know, the homeschooling rule, there's interesting ways that they do it here in Colorado, so just some of the specifics. You got to play ball with them. Even this shit pisses me off, but at the very least, you can, you know, homeschool your kid. The years where they must be in school is from 7 years of age to 16. So for only 9 years, you only had to be in school for 10 years, according to the school, you know, homeschooling laws. Meanwhile, people are putting the kids in for 14, 15 years, and then another 4 years, and another 4 years. Did they ever get out of school? And so this parents can wait until their child is 7 years. When they do begin to homeschool them, they have to, by the time they're 6, however, they don't have to do it until they're 7, but by the time the kid turns 6 years old, you have to file a notice of intent to the district when the kid is 6 by August 1st at 14 days before a child is to be homeschooled. So you have to say, hey, no, you're not coming after my school, this is, or after my kid. So it's CRS 2233-104. Those are the laws, CRS 2233-104. So check those out. So you have to file a notice of intent that you're going to homeschool your kid by the time they're 6 in August 1st. You also have to give them the name and the age and the place of residence and the number of hours of attendance. Now, this all seems so fucking bullshit because they won't give you a high school diploma. So how can they require anything? If you're not going to give it any kind of diploma, it don't seem like you could fucking say shit, you pieces of shit. Fuck off. Fuck off. Yeah, part of me wants to take the standardized test because I think they would kick ass and take names, but then the other part of me says, who the fuck are you? So they have national standard tests when they're 8 years old, 10, 12, 14, and 16. So there's, out of the 10 years, every 2 years they're going to have standardized testing. So there's 5 standardized testing beginning in the 3rd grade all the way up to the 11th grade. But they don't have to be in the 11th grade, right? So there's 4 standardized testing. The homeschoolers, those who teach homeschooling, also don't have to comply with Colorado's Educator Licensing Act of 1991, nor Article 60.5 of this title. So that means the teacher training school is a Prussian invention, a Prussian industrial invention. Hornsman went over to Germany when it was called Prussia, and they're a bunch of militaristic country that eventually united all Prussia, or all of German, the 50 German-speaking nations. And so Prussia, it's just right, it's the Nazis before the Nazis. We got a fucking Nazi education system, and it's an industrial education system. So that way when we go to the factories, we learn the bell system, we have the, you know, go to lunch, we're good, obedient little peasants for the factories. Well, there's no fucking factories anymore, and we're going to teach our kids to be like Prussians. So that's, the whole teacher training schools is just to teach how to oppress. All the kids at Spalding University, all the teachers, the would-be students turning into teachers, they didn't take any of the lessons serious. They didn't read any of the books. They kissed the teacher's ass. That's all they did was kiss the teacher's ass, and that's all the teacher really wanted. And I wanted a real education. I wanted a conversation. I actually wanted dialogue. And so that's the people that are being churned out of teacher training schools. People who don't question shit. Those who say, well, I was obedient and I got through, so if you want to be, I don't want to be like you, teacher, you piece of shit. You're a dictator and you're mean to kids. Fuck you. Hey, teachers, leave those kids alone. American education system is fucked. There's so many great education systems out there. Sudbury model is $7,000. We get a shittier education system and we spend more money on it. We need a Sudbury model education. And if the American public education, which is rooted in democracy, the school board's elected, so there's some democracy that's attached to it. But if the American education system can't correct themselves, then, you know, I think voucher system is what we need to do. Give that $7,000 straight to me. That way the Kurt Wilsons of the world can't fuck me over and my kids over. And the Emma Ray Martinez, no, I got the $7,000. Why the fuck should I send my kid to your stupid-ass school, you piece of shit? For your disrespect, for your bullshit answers? Kurt Wilson talks like a professor. He talks real slow. And he thinks that he said all the things. He was real careful. Oh, you can't just ascertain that from a few comments. The fuck if I can't? You're a Republican who don't give a shit about the poor. Shut the fuck up. Quit pretending that you're actually a good fucking person. You're not a good person. You're an oppressor, and the oppressors are the problem. They are the problem. Do this, do that, fuck you. I'm going to do what I think is best for me. I'm going to make sure my will to power succeeds. You want your will to power to succeed? You think that your will to power should trump mine, and then that's going to be good for me in life? Yeah, kiss my ass, you dumb, you low-life, evil motherfuckers. So if you're going to homeschool your kids, make sure you file a notice of intent by the time they're 6. I don't like telling them the age, place of residence. If you're not going to give me a goddamn diploma, I don't see why I should tell you any of this shit. They say that the homeschool schedule, so you have to make a big schedule. It has to be 172 days, 4 hours a day. This just seems like public educators trying to say, well, we do so much. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're assholes. You divide and conquer. You don't give a shit about any of the locals. A lot of these teachers come from out of state. So they get to come in, they take $40,000, then they bitch about $40,000 when the average per capita income around here is $14,000. You're making 3 times as much as the local folks. So fucking, well, why don't you fuck off? Actually, just fucking quit, and I'm going to hire poor Bob. Poor Bob is going to come in. I bet you poor Bob can actually teach him how to weld or do some, a real skill. That's another thing. Teachers, they don't produce any GDP. What do they produce? They don't produce shit. They don't produce nothing. So when it comes to the economy, teachers don't help the economy. They're not producing anything. Government bureaucrats aren't producing shit. There's no GDP for them to produce. And then are they even teaching that you need to, produce GDP? They don't produce GDP, so I guess they probably would fight against that. No, you don't need GDP for a good economy. Really? You didn't take macroeconomics? You don't know what the fuck you're talking about then. So homeschooling is a viable option. CRS 2233-104.5. So if they don't give me a high school diploma, it's real hard to play any kind of ball with them. If anything, if I provide that notice of intent, then I'm obeying them. So I feel like I'm probably just going to fight them the entire time. And if they want to finally force me to, take a standardized testing for my kid, then we'll do that. So maybe I'll get out of, most of those standardized testing. And then when they take the test and they realize that my kid is a million times fucking smarter than all you all put together, then they'll leave me alone. And even if they don't, I'll be the target. My kid will grow up, free and will understand himself and will be strong mentally, physically, emotionally, all the above. So that's fine. I'll take on the goddamn fucking system so I could get myself a portfolio. Sudbury Model doesn't offer diplomas, and all their kids go to college. So you can pass ACT, SAT, LSAT, your med scores. In fact, actually by understanding the whole system, if you want to be a lawyer, you got to pass the bar. So, but now with the way our system is, you got to pass the school, you got to get the LSAT, you got to do this, you got to do that. Medical school, same shit. You got to pass shit by the state. But the school system wants power, so they say, well, you got to do this, you got to do that, and they add all this extra bullshit to where you don't even know what the fuck you actually really need in order to get, to where you're trying to go. So Sudbury Model Schools, that's a Democratic of Freedom and Democratic schools, they don't offer any diplomas, so fuck the high school diploma. I'm not going to get no GED, and I don't even want to tell them anything. Why the fuck should I tell you anything? What the fuck do I get out of you knowing how I'm teaching my kid? I am teaching my kid. I'm not going to just sit my kid, and just leave him be. That's all I'm going to do is just teach him how to be strong and smart and educated, because I understand this world. I understand America. America is a dog-eat-dog society, and they will fuck up my kids' reputation. They will fuck up my kids. They won't, they don't care about friendships. They're not talking about relationships. If we had democracy in our schools, then there would be good relationships, but they don't want democracy. They don't want the kids to decide anything. So they don't get to choose their curriculum. They don't get to choose anything. They don't get to choose shit. And then you wonder why there's a 30% turnout rate. You wonder why there's 30% poverty rate. Because the fucking education is garbage. I believe in universal education. I don't believe in 21st century American public education. So that's the homeschool. You can homeschool. You must homeschool from 7 to 16, and you must do a notice of intent. By the time the kid is 6, you must tell the school the name, age, place of residence, number of hours of attendance. And so yeah, all those things, though, the level you submit to is the level that will, of injustice that will be perpetuated upon you. So teach the communication skills of reading, writing, speaking, mathematics, history, civics, literature, science, and regular courses on instruction in the Constitution of the United States. Oh, really? Really? They're making homeschoolers learn civics. Civics wasn't a big deal for Emma Ray Martinez. They don't know fairness. Emma Ray Martinez censored the Democrats from speaking. She knew that. So these damn government Republican bureaucrats, they get into office, they take all your taxes, they put it into their pockets, they take socialism, they share the socialism with their friends and their family with jobs and spoil system. So Kurt Wilson is on top of the spoil system. The public schools are totalitarian, right-wing, authoritarian, monarchical autocracies. Only one teacher in the front, and then it's after the school board is elected, they're the legislative branch, they appoint a superintendent. Then that superintendent is the god, is the king, is the queen. The superintendent, then it's the principals, then it's the teachers, and then it's the administrators, and then it's the janitors, and then eventually, is it the students? Eventually we get to the students. It's totalitarian. It's totalitarian. They're even controlling the thoughts. It's right-wing, authoritarian, shut up, sit down, monarchical, only one teacher, one principal, one superintendent. When you have Sugata Mitra, if you had a computer and you got kids around the computer, learning will happen. It's self-emergent. It does it by itself. You can only stop learning. And that's what the American public education system has been doing since the beginning. They've been stopping learning from happening. There is no education that's happening. It's just obedience and learning how to play people, which, is that great skills or not? I don't think so. I want a society that's intelligent, smart, healthy, educated, where we all, let's argue about general relativity. Let's actually have an argument about general relativity. Anybody ready for that argument yet? So yeah, that's the hierarchy. It's not democracy. Kurt Wilson, Emma Ray Martinez do not believe in democracy. They do not believe in education, but they do believe in their own authority. So call them doctors, even though they don't know shit about medical anything. They don't know about medical science or medicine or any of it. So they hire security guards to kick our children's asses. The security guards, they might even have more power than the teachers, though, don't they? So the judicial process, where the hell is the judicial process? Kurt Wilson, Emma Ray Martinez, in the American public education system. I see the legislators are the school board, and then the executive is the superintendent and principals and the teachers. Where's the judicial branch? Oh, the principals. So it's tyranny, just straight up tyranny, right? There's the judicial branch is the actual judicial branch, so you have to take them out of court. And again, it's just more dictatorship, bullshit, no democracy, no freedom. Shut up, sit down, American children. Know your fucking place. Don't vote, don't participate, don't speak up, don't say shit. Just stare like a psycho, you fucking psycho. You weak ass. So that's what they're doing. They're creating a whole generation of sheeple, a whole generation of weak ass, low esteem dumb fucks that would submit themselves as irrelevant slaves daily for 13 years of their life at least during our children's formative years. That's when they're growing. That's when they're learning. That's when they have all those synapses. You have all those synapses when you're born. So instead of actually forming and making our kids' minds strong and independent, they're being brainwashed and completely conditioned into nothingness. That's oppression. That's not liberation. That's hierarchy. It's not democracy. So I know Jean-Jacques Rousseau's On Education. And that was his plea to the mothers. Mothers, give a shit about your children. Love your kids. Don't allow the state to take your kids away. I'm a million times more intelligent. I got higher IQ, and I know so much more of these education theorists. I know people that are saying, I don't have any theories. Then you're a tyrannical piece of shit. You have no theories? Okay. Well, you don't have any principles, and you're a tyrannical piece of shit there. I went ahead and told you who the fuck you are. You're an asshole. You're a low-life oppressor asshole. And if people call themselves assholes, if people call themselves dicks, if they call themselves bitches, it would be naive and foolish not to acknowledge the same label that those asshole bitch dicks gives themselves. I've heard female teachers say we got to be bitches. I've heard male teachers say we got to be assholes. Fuck you. You all want to be bitches and assholes to my kids just so you could, tell them to shut up and sit down? Fuck you. I can't stand assholes. I can't stand dickheads. I can't stand bitches. I can't stand oppressor authoritarians of any type. You're an oppressor, stay the fuck away from my kid. You're the wicked. You're on the devil's team, oppressor. Who the fuck can stand these assholes? It's like, fuck, if you weren't controlling others, you'd have no life. You have no purpose for living, you oppressive son of a bitch. You think of yourself an asshole? Okay, then fuck you, asshole. You think of yourself as an asshole? Kurt Wilson, oh, I'm an asshole. Oh, you're an asshole. Huh? Got to be an asshole to control everybody. Okay, I'll assume that you're an asshole. A massive floppy asshole, all Santorum and oversaturated with a forest of dingleberries that can only be washed away with the mountainous waterfall of diarrhea shit. I don't want you near me, asshole. Fuck you, asshole, and stay the fuck away from my kids, assholes. Fucking dictator, it's cruel and unusual. We have laws against cruel and unusual punishments, but meanwhile, shut up, kids, stand in the corner, let's all laugh and humiliate you. Why? Because you answered out of turn, you didn't raise your hand all the way, because of what? You were talking to a person that you wanted to be your friend, and then they separated you because they're against relationships. Hierarchies destroy relationships. Oppressors destroy humanity. They have a love of death. Oppressors have a love of death. They're sadistic. Right-wing authoritarian, totalitarian, monarchical autocracies, dictatorships, they're cruel and unusual, and fuck them. Fuck those fucking assholes. So, vote yes. Vote yes on Amendment 73, because public education, universal education, I approve of. But this is the last time. American public education, you need to become more like Americans. You're not American enough, and it's bullshit, okay? I would love to actually have a public education that could say we're American, and they mean something by it. But I don't think any of these, they're government fucking Nazis. Okay, you're a government Nazi. That would have happened in fucking Politburo China and fucking Russia, fucking Nazi Germany. You think you're better than everybody because you're a fascist right-wing piece of shit? No. If anything, I like Plato. At the very least, we would have got a philosopher king. Or a king that listens to a philosopher. But if you don't have a theory and you don't have a philosophy, you're just a tyrant. You're just a tyrannical asshole. Everybody's supposed to kiss your ass and laugh at your jokes like you're the funniest motherfucker. You're not the funniest motherfucker. You're not the smartest person. And nobody should follow anybody. So who the fuck are you to sit there and try to make everybody else your fucking sheep? I like a nation of strong individuals, an army of individuals. That's better. That's more intelligent. A big monolithic crowd can only go so fast. But individuals, if we're all educated and we all know what's going on, that the powers that be, that's what they don't want. They don't want an entire Conejos County of educated poor folks standing up and demanding, we don't want to be poor no more. That's the biggest fear that they got. So, vote yes on Amendment 73.